conservation in Pakistan? What are the areas that we need to improve? Hadika? Hello?
I think Darsha Hadika has got disconnected.
Okay. Yeah. I think I can ask the same question from, I think, Yasmin. So Yasmin can answer for that. Like, what are the areas that youth engagement needs to improve on when it comes to biodiversity and ecosystems conservation?
Yeah, I think that the corporations, enterprise has a key role to play by involving their employees, expat people when they are in a location where there is a lot of who are dealing with environment, such as the oil and gas sector, for instance. And also, I would say that it's important also for the government to work hand in hand with NGOs also, so they could share their experience. And I would just like to say that the climate change for a corporation, a government, or a community is not tackled the same way. So it's important to define, to labelize also some project activities which are concerned, so that which are concerned by climate change and also environment. And also, as the WEF, the World Economic Forum, has considered that the climate change and sustainability is one of the top 3 global risks for our future and planet, it's very important that the communities work hand in hand and also are concerned about that. Voilà.
Okay, thank you, Yasmin. Is Hadika back? Is Hadika there? Hello?
It's not yet there, no.
Okay, so I'll move to the next question, same with Yasmin. Yasmin, like now, when it comes to like public-private partnerships, like investments on conservation and biodiversity and environment, how you see the youth engagement? Like, is it like, you can talk from the global perspective, that's fine.
About the youth engagement, right?
Yes, youth engagement when it comes to public-private partnerships on environment conservation.
Yes, I think that it's a key role for the private sector and also the public sector to focus and to involve the youth individuals, because they are the role, motor, and future for our nation. Also, I would say that private partners are very, very concerned. You can apply to some research, to some projects regarding climate change, environment, sustainable projects, and especially when it concerns to youth. We have seen that during the COPs, the Earth Summit in Rio, where I was there. There was a lot of youth projects. Why? Because they are the leaders, the CEO will listen to carefully. So they have a key role to play.
Right, thank you, Yasmin. I'll move to the next question with Krishni and Nohad. Like, as like in being in the climate arena and being as climate activist, like how you see the global warming process impact on natural resources and biodiversity?
Would you like to go for Krishni? Okay.
Fine.
Unfortunately, I'm going to say that COVID-19 has saved the faces of the policymaker in this world, because literally they are working very slow. And if you want to combine the draft or like the Paris Agreement before and after COP25, you will say like, it was better before. So really, and concerning biodiversity and natural resources, one of the concentration this year is biodiversity, and they were willing also to incorporate it into the negotiations more. And you can see the trend worldwide is following the nature-based solution, while if you want to concentrate on the MENA region where I'm from, and you cannot see that the governments are really following or are really incorporating nature-based solutions into their work. And you know that 2020 was crucial for the NDCs, but since COP was postponed, and now maybe many are saying that we are having a 1 year of non-climate action. We as youth and we as activists, this is our role to say that what happened in COVID-19 is due to that human beings are affecting the world life. And we take this opportunity on the World Environment Day to say, save the world life, create solutions that are good and environmentally friendly, incorporate and engage youth in your policy making, add the beliefs of people, add different SDGs into your NDCs and make them more ambitious, and don't take the COVID-19 as a way not to save biodiversity and as a way not to work on nature-based solutions and as a way not to enhance your NDCs, because if you don't do this, we will face another crises. We will have extreme weather events. People will keep on endangering other species, and when these species are endangered due to fires, due to urbanization, due to many other issues, they will get into contact with us, and they will move from their inhabitants to be living near us, and they will transmit many other diseases. This is what we are doing. If you keep on working or affecting the ecosystem will affect you. If you don't want to be sitting in your home every now and then, you need to save biodiversity.
Yeah, so I think Nuhat has summed up everything really clearly. The effect of climate change and global warming on biodiversity, it cannot be, overstated. Okay, it's very important to realize that, as Nuhat has said, we depend on the biodiversity, we depend on the nature around us, and it's a shame that nowadays, and I just organized a webinar 2 weeks ago where we talk about how the governments are using the COVID-19 as an excuse not to meet their obligations and not to work towards the SDGs, and also making sure that they are implementing measures in terms of mitigation, adaptation, and also protecting the biodiversity. So, Mauritius is a big biodiversity hotspot, and we have several islands, very small islands across the Republic of Mauritius. And although we cannot say that nothing has been done to save the biodiversity, but what I'm saying is that a lot more can be done. So I think the governments, as Nuhat said, cannot use COVID-19 as an excuse, because if anything, the pandemic has shown to us that, we have for such a long time, we have been saying, the industrialists, the fossil fuel industries, the governments have been saying, oh, it's going to be so difficult for us to move from fossil fuels to clean energy. Or it's going to be so difficult, to stop all these cars on the roads, to stop all these planes from flying. And then you have a pandemic which happens, and then nature tells you, oh, wait, we are going to make you stay at home. We are going to not let you use cars and, not let you use the airplanes, which have been causing so much emissions. We're going to, stop your industries, your fossil fuel industries from working, and then you can just sit at home and be powerless. So, if we don't listen to the signs of nature, the signs of what we have to protect wildlife. So 2 days ago, everyone across the world has been hearing about what has happened to that elephant who was pregnant, and she was fed a pineapple, I think. So we have to make sure that we protect the wildlife, we protect the biodiversity and nature, because as Nuhat said, if we keep destroying their habitats, if we keep going nearer and nearer to them, not leaving them their space, then obviously they are going to transmit whatever virus that the animals and the bees, they're not going to die, the bats, and they're not going to die from these viruses. When they transmit it to humans, we are going to die. So we have to remember, if we don't protect them, if we don't respect them, then what are the consequences? And this pandemic has shown us that if we continue destroying the planet, then we ourselves will be destroyed.
Thank you, Krishni. I'll have another question to ask from Krishni. I think you mentioned that that your area is like a biodiversity hotspot. So, how you see the environment protection? I'm sure it's a big tourist destination. So, how you see the environment protection along with tourism? Like how it should be developed?
Yes, so in Mauritius, we have a big problem, because tourism is such a big part of of the economy, that we have tended to destroy nature for the benefit of the tourism sector, and it's very bad, because when tourists, there was this, just like giving an example, there was an actress from France, she's a celebrity, she came to Mauritius, and she was so disappointed because she saw that Mauritians, we don't protect the environment, there's so much plastic waste around, even in our oceans, and our coral reefs are being destroyed, so Mauritius is a big diving destination as well. So the government, the governments over the successive years, they have not really prioritized, making tourism go hand in hand with environment protection. So nowadays, what we're doing is, I think Seychelles is, our sister country. Seychelles is just 3 hours by flight from Mauritius, and it's an island that has, try to implement all these green tourism principles. And if you go to Seychelles, they are protecting their islands like so beautifully and so seamlessly. So I think we have to learn from the Seychelles. And I think with the pandemic happening, I think it's a big lesson for our tourism industry in Mauritius. So we are learning that we can do tourism differently. We can do tourism in, a green manner, in a way that would be respectful of the environment, because I have written a lot of this, and I have said that, if Mauritians and if the tourists who come, they don't protect the environment in Mauritius, then and Mauritius will be just a country where we have marine pollution, there is not enough biodiversity hotspots, because even these biodiversity hotspots, people, tourists, they really like it when they come to Mauritius, and they come on an island where nature is there, biodiversity is being protected. So I think we are now implementing several legislations. We also have, and happy to announce that Mauritius will be legislating on its climate change bill. So we will be having a climate change act, which is very, very important in terms of protecting the environment and measures for climate change adaptation and mitigation. And I'm happy to note that in the climate change bill, there are various aspects which will help promote mitigation mitigation and adaptation, but at the same time, preserving the natural environment, and not going for tourism, which would not be sustainable. So I think the government in Mauritius and, in islands should really see how they can promote sustainable tourism and not just tourism for making money.
Thank you, Krishni. I think I would like to ask the same question from Joyce, because Joyce is also coming from a tourist destination. Like how you see the environment and tourism in your country? Like how should be developed?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Well, the situation, as you know, like especially in Latin America region as well as Brazil, as Noah had said, we are having like a lot of governance issues, especially talking related to Brazil. We knew like since years ago, and especially last year, about the fires in the Amazon. Okay, so this is I'm sorry, it was very stressful because part of my family, my mom lives in the Peruvian Amazon. So one night, I didn't know, I was in Europe by that time. She called me, she says, it's burning. I was like, what are you talking about? You didn't see anything in the news. We started seeing it in international news and then in national news. And then, I was confused because I said, okay, but is there something, besides we as our activists in our work with organizations, what about government? And then people also were pointing out at the country, and I do understand, but biodiversity, climate change, and those are global governance issues. They are not just specifically just one point as well of the world. There are issues that are transboundary, transnational. So if we were having, the fires, like the pollution will go all the way to the north, because this is a dynamic planet. It moves, it has it's alive, like we say Pachamama or Mother Earth is somehow alive. So then, we were like thinking, especially in the organization that I'm working on with this Young Climate Ambassadors project, is like, what are those democratic demands that we can have, like especially for a federal governance, global governance? Because I don't know, I just want to make a point here. I don't know if like this year, United Nations is has 25 years from the creation. So it's the UN 75 years from the creation. So after the creation, it was said in the article 109 about the charter review. Charter review is to keep reviewing the structure for the United Nations to make it more democratic and more, not just democratic, but effective as well with the current issues. So if we evaluate from where the United Nations to now, we had a lot of geopolitical changes, a lot of global changes that are happening. Climate change is more than a global crisis. We are entering the fourth industrial and technological revolution, and so many others. As we know, the fact that we're right now separated in this way is because, as my colleagues pointed out, we have a disruption into biodiversity, which have global impacts. So pandemics, pandemics don't respect a border. It's a transnational and transboundary issue. That's why we are separated, and it's touching us the situation. So in this point, there are two situations. So we have global rights, or global citizens' rights to be, to have this right to a healthy environment. This is a global and a human right. Another situation also that maybe we will have to think in an update of the United Nations as a global institution for governance. I don't know if we are thinking in a UN parliament structure. Obviously, we need to think especially how it will work. But this is the kind of the research that we are trying to develop. And that is also kind of the point that I want you to take home, because there are many challenges that a country alone might not be able to handle by itself. Because I don't want to point out names, but for example, why, I don't know, we don't have right now a world court with universal jurisdiction that we can take since individuals and companies to be judged. There are people right now that are not following president that are not following the recommendations of the World Health Organizations, and people are dying. You know, I just want to finish that last week was a hard situation. And you know, like Amazon region is suffering a lot. It's the house of 33 million people with different countries, Brazil, Peru, Colombia. And you know, like even the access for water, electricity, it is complex, as well as right now, like the help with the pandemics. So I talk as a personal level because my mother, she got COVID-19 and she didn't have any access to health. She was alone and she made it to survive because of medicinal plants. Still, we have to understand how was it. But this year, and especially, you know, like for vulnerable groups, and I talk from my indigenous side, is complex, and we really ask for international governance in these points: biodiversity, climate. We cannot just wait to everybody or every country to be dancing the rhythm of the pandemic or climate change in a different way and without cooperation and integration. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. I think I can move to the next question. As we see, like we know that the environment and the climate change, like these discussions are going like separately, and when it comes to youth, it's kind of a too gloomy question. Like, how do you think the discussion should cope up, and how the youth should be involved in this process? Like, I can ask this question from Joyce, Krishni, Nuhad, and Yasmin.
Who's going first?
I think we can start with Nuhad, then Krishni, Joyce, and Yasmin.
Okay. So can you please rephrase the question?
Yeah, the question was like, when it comes to like climate change and environment, we have seen the discussions going in two different paths, and
Sure.
when it comes to like youth engagement, it was like too gloomy with the environment and climate change together. So how do you think that these discussions should cope up and go as like in one direction, and how the youth should be participate in this process?
You know that one of the new things that happened in last COP is that youth were allowed to enter when they are 16 years old. So this was a very good step. But at the same time, we don't see youth are getting engaged as they should. Like, you know, there is the Yongo Youth Constituency where there is calls with them, and they follow up on submissions, and they have different working groups. But if we want to go into each government and like how are these government interacting with youth outside the UN premises, there are few ones that have youth as part of their official delegates or even NGOs. There are few ones that are doing capacity building for youth. There are few ones that are engaging and having a participatory approach for NGOs and youth. So all of these steps should, you know, the opposite should be done. Engaging them in a participatory approach and policy making, making them part of the official delegation, and also capacity building for them. One of the things also that we really find that the mentality on like youth are the future, but how they act with them, like you don't have the expertise, we have it, like sits here, like, you know, or like giving them, trying to green their image by slightly engaging them or taking photos with them, while on reality there is no concrete steps to change the status quo. So unfortunately, youth are being used by some government to promote themselves rather than to engage them. So I will leave the floor to Yasmin and Joyce to speak each from to add on this, in order not to take all of this answers. Go on, please.
So for me, if we want youth to engage, to involve, we have to interact with them in order to make them understand what's going on regarding climate change and sustainability and environment. So as a volunteer with an NGO named Terre d'École, we go a lot in African countries where we have projects and activities in order for them to be able, to touch and to tackle with them what is going on with climate change and environment. And once you do that for them, I talk about children from 3 years old till 18 years old. We interact a lot with orphans. And when you're able to explain to them to change their habit, for instance, there is one very cute example. I ask children, hello, children, hello, cuties. Is plastic an enemy or a friend of the earth? And, sometimes they don't know what to understand. But what I see is that they threw a lot of plastic, and you have to interact, to talk with them in order to make them change their habits. And it's very important for us. So we work a lot with psychologists in our teams, doctors, professors, for them to make the message very clear for them. And by doing small, punctual action like this, they can, make up their minds. And when they go home, they learn to their parents, We've done this at school. We've done this during the National Day of Work, the National Day of Plastic. And then we go and see the authorities, government of the country, in order to speak with them, to see what we can increase or change in order to have a social impact. And that's it. I don't know if Joyce wants to add something.
Yes. Well, basically, after what you said, I also will complement as well, like youth as part either from civil society actors, educational institutes, or even governments or private companies that we are. I think it's our responsibility as well, like in these moments, to convene dialogues, like in our spheres where we are of influence, and raise awareness, like building capacity, like at this global citizenship like level, in order to seriously engage this urgent need to launch this UN Charter review process, as well to tackle these problems as in a global governance way. I also will add another part of experience that I have developed is as well as developing public policies, especially in the local level. It works really interesting because it's recognizing youth as a catalyst of action, with a disruptive mind, disruptive creativity, disruptive networks, in order to understand the relationship that, like a culture, a community, a city has with its territory. Because maybe, there are some solutions and perspective that will work in Qatar, but maybe they will not work in Paraguay or Brazil. So I think we also need to take into account this perspective. And youth, they do, naturally we do. So I think that in the energy, the creativity, this is a time that we need from everybody's background, our designer colleague, we need from you, we need from all of you, from politics, from scientists, everybody needs to be engaged, especially right now. Yeah.
Yeah, we can move to Krishna. Krishna, are you there?
Looking at things, just look for another meeting.
Krishna, okay. So, okay, I'll move to I'll come to now to Shaika, Bandari, and Aisha. Now, if you think that youth can do one thing to help towards environment conservation, what should it be?
I think youth can participate in protecting the environment by focusing on their habits and considering everything that goes around them, with plastic bags or wherever objects that they see, and actions and research about it and raise awareness about it and see what is the side effects of it. Is it good or bad? And this from this stage, youth can have an action, you know, in changing their habits, because if they change their habits, it's gonna influence others, and they will create, you know, positive habits for the environment itself. Also, I would encourage, you know, educating children and youth from a very earlier age, with, you know, social work, encouraging them to work with environment, see environment, get to interact with environment, not only like from school to home, like they get to see environment, they get to experience the environment itself. And I think then we could have youth attachment to the environment and considering the importance of protecting the environment. Thank you.
Well, for me, I think that first they need to take the responsibility. They need to know that they are responsible of what is happening, because mostly when I talk with people around, they're like, it's not our job to do this, not our job to protect the environment, it's the government job. And this is bad because, as she said, engaging them in social work and all these projects and taking this project to schools to make them feel like it is really important. And you are the first person who should start, and then the environment will get better in even like a small activities that you are doing. I mean, they always say that environment is matters, word is matters, but as youth, they feel like it's a lie. Sometimes they don't feel like it is a real thing, it is a huge thing. And when we are highlight some problems that are happening around the world, I mean, like in different countries, they cannot understand that even if it's like in US or Canada, even it's like a faraway place, but it is going to affect us here. It is affecting the whole earth, the whole world. It's not affecting a certain place, which is kinda youth are not understanding well for now. Even for the marine life, all this stuff, they need to get understand more. And I feel like taking this to schools before making them engaging in the social life for like, you know, environments and all these works is better. Schools first. I feel like, yeah, schools should start first doing this, and then they will get engaged normally because they will feel like it's a normal lifestyle. So yeah, this is very important.
First of all, I believe in that everyone should be believing in this issue. And here in Qatar, we have a lot of eco schools and eco campus. So schools are working on this, and also universities. But I think it can be started from home. Like we educate young generation how to save the environment by switching to alternatives or switching their habits. For example, stop using plastic bags and we use like reusable bags for grocery, for example. Instead of using a lot of paper, like printing papers, we can use them digitally. So it's like the small tips that we can switch from a person that not understanding how to be an eco-friendly, step by step, since we are at home. And I feel that if we all, our voice all matters. So when we are all collaborating together, our voice will be heard, and people will understand why we are here, why we're doing this, why we're saving the environment. We're saving the environment for our generation and also for the next generation. So I think it's step by step. People first should be believing on the issue and know that when they change, they will find a good result for them and for the whole world.
Thank you. Let me get back to Shaika Bandari Aisha again now. Have you all seen like effective participation of youth towards environmental conservation?
Yes, since this COVID-19 pandemic, I've seen a lot of great efforts, of people trying to gardening, trying to have some alternatives, as Asha said. And I mean by alternatives, they're trying to have their own food from home, like they're trying to garden their own food, like harvest their own food from their own home, and which is surprising and very interesting. And I feel very delighted to see that. And I think the quarantine thing opened a very wide perspective that people could think in alternative ways. People could try things that they have never tried, or things that they wanted to try, but with the busy lifestyle that we had, they couldn't experience any of these things. So that's what I could see, and I see like this could affect like in the life after COVID-19. Like when people practice it, they will gain it, and then it will be part of their lifestyle. And I've seen so many webinars and lives and videos and beautiful designs about environment and saving environment, and some good tips about specific food and its benefits. These kind of things make change, actually. I believe it makes change, and I feel very delighted to see that. Thank you.
For me, I saw the same recently. Even before COVID-19, there are like some few activities that people are doing, and it is saving environment, but they're kind of not aware about it. Like, for example, when they go to the ATM and it says that you don't have to print the papers because you're gonna get a message for that, or maybe when you go to a grocery, and now some of the groceries are making people to like not use the normal plastic bags, they use the reusable bags. Also, in some shops, they let you like buy bags instead of the plastic bags. So some of the activities that people are doing nowadays, and I feel like it's a marketing, but at the same time, the government is trying to do something to save the environment and make people feel like they are doing it as a normal thing, not as you have to save the environment, so you have to do that. No, it's a normal thing that you have to do it in your daily life. Even for the food, people start harvesting even before COVID-19. They start harvesting food and getting food from their homes. I mean, I saw many people around me who start to planting trees, food, and all these stuff around them, as Ashghal was telling people to do that, was encouraging people to do that, to save the environment and to help the place to be more green and all this stuff. So yeah, people are now doing some activities that they are not sure, or they are not aware that they are saving the environment by doing this. They are feeling like it's a new lifestyle that we have to go with. So this is an amazing thing, and I feel like it's gonna get better if the government do more projects like that and take it seriously.
Well, here now, what I can see in Qatar is changing a lot. People are getting more aware and more educated about this issue. As Al-Bandari and Sheikha mentioned, there is a lot of supermarkets that they are switching from, and or they are offering you a reusable bag instead of plastic bag. And also there's a lot of schools, there's a lot of companies that they are doing a live Instagram, they're doing a webinars to spread this awareness so people can focus on it, to be a priority. What we want to do when we go back to our normal life, it will be totally different. So when we want to go back, we want to be saving the environment, to have a sustainable life. So yesterday I had a webinar with Qatar Academy students, and they are working on an initiative in their school, and also now they're working from home, how to be sustainable in their life, how to be an eco-friendly, and also to grow. As Sheikha mentioned, there is a lot of families now, they're growing at home. They're like reducing buying food from outside. They're cooking their own food and also reducing food waste. This means a lot. So when we start, as I mentioned before, from home, and then we spread it out from outside, people will be more engaged and will believe in it more and more. And step by step, the change will be to a better life.
Thank you. So I would like to move with the final question to Yasmin, Joyce, and Nohad. How can we increase effective participation of youth for environment conservation?
I think I will go ahead. So basically, I also consider that, you know, as youth, we need formation, you know, we need as well like education and updated information as well, like in order to understand where and how we're going to focus our activism. Because lately there have been a lot of conversation, you know, among the networks. There are some divergence sometimes, you know, as activists, you know, there have been some requests or some demands that they obviously they might be not just biased, but maybe we need to have this, you know, the possibility, technical possibility, and as well as if it's even politically possible to do certain changes. I know that possible, like now we're thinking about a lot of challenges, but also I think that is our responsibility to keep us updated, educated, to understand, you know, till which point, you know, like having, you know, I think Madeline might work with this with scenarios perspective, as well as locally, regionally, and even globally. Because so if we talk, for example, I realized, you know, today our focus is on biodiversity. So do we know our territory? Do we know locally what's going on? Do we even know a little bit about the historical background? And also, like, if we are, you know, asking to formulate politics, as I said, this is a youth responsibility, either also, as I said, governments, universities, and organizations, but also from private sector. I think it's important to allow this youth to have training and capacity building. This is like one perspective that I will have. And the other, I will retake the words of Noah, and it's basically, this is the, you know, like governments and companies, and so they need to see like youth, not because we are, as I said, because we are young, but it's because we know and we have been actors of change, you know, like, so it's important to see this perspective, as just mentioned before. We might not have all the expertise, you know, and the you know, the traditional expertise, but this world is changing. So maybe we have other skills, other abilities in other ways that we can contribute, because this is the point. I think this is, from my perspective, you know, as a climate, just not just activist, but the diplomat. It's not just pointing out, or like right now, who's wrong and keep in this game, but also keep saying, okay, we know who's wrong, but we also want to contribute. We want to work with you. We want to be included, and we want to be heard. Yeah.
I would say by interacting with youth, and for instance, to go and visit with them, like companies of waste management, they're able to see, to quantify what is happening, you know, for instance, and when by understanding them and also educate them, when they became actors of activities, of initiatives regarding climate change and environment, they change their whole way of thinking. And also by make them responsible for what is going on. They're not responsible for what is happening, for sure, but of what is going on. And also by make them actors of project, activities, initiative. And also what is very important, for instance, in Africa, because I work a lot, it's the optimization of water. Not everyone has access to water or electricity, and by not wasting it, you can make everyone in the community have access to it, you know? So this is very important. I focus a lot when I work with NGO as a volunteer to speak about waste management, water optimization, the use also. And also some children are not they go to school by walk. Like they have 10 kilometers of walk every day, you know? And by interacting with the private sector, we can raise funds in order to make life a bit more, less, I would say, so that they will gain some time in order to work from home and have much more time to help their parents and also work for school. So that's by make them concerned about what is happening and interact with them so that they become actor of the climate change, sustainability and environment. It's very important. Voilà. I don't know. Voilà, voilà.
Thank you. Nohad?
Nohad has left.
Okay. So I think do we have any questions in the club? Have we got any questions?
I think we are covered almost.
Did we receive anything from the participants? Any viewers? Questions from any viewers? No? I think yeah, maybe the floor is over to you. Thank you, all the speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudarshan. It was a wonderful session. We had a good lineup of speakers, and the session connecting youth for better environment. The webinar comes to an end, and I have a quote to say to everyone: to make the world sustainable, we need to think and act for the future we want. With saying that, a big thanks to the speakers for your time and commitment on this important day, on this World Environment Day 2020. And I would like to thank you for joining us on this webinar. Vandari, Krishni, Sheikh Almari, Nuwa, Hadika, Yasmin, Aisha Almadid, and Joyce. We said that I would also like to thank our partners, Earth Lanka, My Climate Action Qatar, Greener Future, Sustainable Ocean Alliance Sri Lanka, GYBN Sri Lanka, and also special thanks to the team from Sri Lanka, Qatar, and Mauritius for supporting us in various activities to organize this webinar. And also thanks a lot for Sudarsha, Safran, Krishni, Shaika, and thank you for your cooperation. And we'll be ending this session, and the video will be available on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
You too.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.